Rathods Science Academy. Today in this session we are going to see current affairs of 27th March 2025. So let's get started with our discussion, and before getting started I want to make a small announcement. We in Rathods Science Academy we are going to start new prelims cum mains foundation batch from April 8th, and we are providing both on online and offline. And if you are interested, if you want to get more details regarding this course, you can contact us on this number 8074765513. And if you want to talk to me directly, you can visit our academy, which is in Ashok Nagar. Okay, so now let us see the first article, guys. Okay, so title says Supreme Court stays High Court's inhuman remarks on rape attempt. So actually it is one of the important thing which is happening in our country. It is about insensitivity. Okay, so actually what was the issue was, so this is one incident which happened in year 2021 in UP, and finally recently High Court gave judgment, and based on that judgment now Supreme Court took that judgment as suo motu case, and it said that it should give the state, should not implement that. So because of this is the news. Okay, so what was the case was, so actually one minor victim, she's a girl, and one person touched her in an inappropriate manner, and even he did some attempt, but here finally her parents, the girl child victim child parents, they filed a case in year 2022 in January, and actually the judgment got in year 2024 in November. Okay, so now in March 2025, so finally Supreme Court gave the stay on this judgment. So this is some chronology, and if you see this infographic you'll understand so what was the incident, when it was happened, and finally the judgment given. So from where you will be seeing this topic, so especially in your polity, which comes under your GS paper 2, you will be reading this topic. So in polity you will be having three organs, that is executive, legislature, and as well as judiciary, right? So which are the three organs? We have executive, we have legislature, and we have judiciary. So now this article is talking about judiciary. So in judiciary itself, we have three-tier judicial system in our country, right? We have Supreme Court at top, and we have High Court, and we have district courts or subordinate courts. So actually we have appeal kind of judgment in our country. That means if you are filing a case at the district level, if you are not satisfied with the judgment, then you can file an appeal to High Court. And if High Court gives the judgment, if you are not satisfied, and again you can appeal your Supreme Court. But this case is very specific. Why? Because High Court gave the judgment, and now they didn't went to appeal to Supreme Court, but Supreme Court by suo motu itself it took this case of High Court judgment. So because of this it is a very special judgment, okay, or special case. So now let us see this article, what it is talking about. So actually what is the case was, Supreme Court has gave a stay on Allahabad High Court order. So what is the case here is, one minor child is there. So one guy came and grabbed a minor child breast, and also that boy snapped this pajama string of that so and so girl. And actually in this case High Court of that Allahabad court gave a statement that whenever this kind of incidents are happening, like grabbing of breast or like removing the string of that pajama, so these are not clear cut evidences for attempt to rape. So this is the judgment which is given by the Allahabad High Court. So because of this, now Supreme Court said that this kind of judgment which is given by High Court is very insensitive, and as well as it is also inhuman in nature. So because of this, now Supreme Court said that no, we have to stay this judgment. And if you see the key points that you have to remember from this article here is, in judiciary also sensitivity is very important. In judiciary also sensitivity matters. So Supreme Court's firm stands against this High Court's remarks, which mainly says that yes, even for the judges also we need to maintain sensitivity. Okay, sensitivity is very important even for the judges whenever they are dealing with especially cases regarding the children and as well as sexual offenses. So they should not make this kind of judgments, or they should not make this kind of statements. And even recently, one important thing which happened in Supreme Court was, so all the judges of Supreme Court, they watched one movie called as Lakpati Didi. So one movie they saw. Okay, so in that movie, they want to just sensitize these judges whenever they are dealing with this women-related domestic violence cases or like that. So in the same way, now we need to maintain, or we need to inculcate sensitivity in these judges, especially when they are dealing with these children-related cases and as well as sexual offenses against children. And actually, whenever Supreme Court is taking this type of sumo decision, we can understand that yes, Supreme Court which reflects a broad societal expectations, because always people in the society will be expecting the positive thing towards the victim, right? So in this case, the judgment is in the favor of the accused person. So here we have to reflect the broad social expectations also. And judiciary must not only interpret the law, but also judiciary need to show empathy. What is the empathy? Empathy is there in your ethics, right? Empathy is nothing but show understanding other feelings as well. Okay, and next one here is, you have to see about this point, that is impact on victims. So whenever this high court gave this kind of judgment, so here we have to see about how this judicial language can impact the victim's perception on justice. Okay, so here, the people who are victims, if they are not getting the proper justice from the courts, then what happens? The people will be losing the trust on this judiciary, entire judiciary, right? So here it is also very, very important, especially the judicial language will be having lot of impact on the victim's perception on this justice. And next one here is, this article is saying that yes, we have to go for review of the judgment which had been given by this Allahabad High Court. That is called as judicial review process, very, very important. So these are the things that you have to remember, guys. And now let us see the next article. Title says going electric. So is there any article that we discussed in yesterday's class regarding this? Yes, the first page itself we discussed about import duty article, right? So in yesterday's class, what we discussed, our government is reducing or removing import duty on certain products. So those products will be used for making of electric vehicles and as well as phone batteries. Phone batteries and as well as electric vehicles. For example, 35 products on which import duty will be removed for electric vehicles, and 28 products on which they are removing this import duty, which can be used for this phone batteries, right? So here, why we are removing that import duty? That will decreases cost of that products. So whenever we are using less cost products, means what happens? Overall cost of production of that goods will be obviously reduced. Cost of production will be reduced, so that we can boost domestic manufacturing. So we can boost domestic manufacturing. So whenever we are boosting this domestic manufacturing, what are the advantages? We can increase employment opportunities, and we can decrease poverty, and we can decrease hunger, and we can increase standard of living of people, and we can increase overall growth and development of our country, and even we can increase our GDP, right? And even we can achieve our important thing, that is Atmanirbhar in this electric vehicles production. We can achieve Atmanirbhar. And also one more important scheme is Make in India. Make in India. And not only that, so these electric vehicles are very important to control our carbon dioxide emissions into atmosphere. So actually what happened, whenever we are using vehicles which are using as this diesel or petrol as fuel, that will increase this carbon dioxide emissions, right? So here we can decrease carbon dioxide emissions. So whenever we are decreasing carbon dioxide emissions, so what will be the advantages? So we can reduce global warming. So whenever you are reducing global warming, then we can reduce energy usage also. So whenever there is increasing of global warming, there will be increasing of more amount of heat. More amount of heat leads to demand of more demand of energy for using of ACs, coolers, fans, everything. So we can decrease that. So whenever we are decreasing that, in turn we will be reducing carbon dioxide emissions, right? Because most of our energy, where we are getting from? We are getting from thermal. Thermal means nothing but we are producing from burning of this coal. Burning of this coal will leads to again carbon dioxide emissions. And not only that, can we achieve our target of Paris Climate Deal of 2015? Paris Climate Deal or Paris Climate Agreement. What it says, we have to reduce global warming by 1.5 degrees centigrade to 2 degrees centigrade when we are comparing with this 1990s, that is pre-industrial levels. And can we achieve our target of carbon neutrality by 2070? Yes, of course. So these all are the advantages of this single step of decreasing import duty on these things. Okay, so now let us see this article what it is saying and from which subjects it is important. So here we are talking about GDP, employment, poverty. So these are part of our GS paper 3 under economy. And we are talking about global warming, Paris climate deal, carbon neutrality, energy. So it is important from your GS paper 3 under environment and ecology. So in these two subjects it is important case. Okay, so now let us see what is this article is saying about. So actually this article is saying that India is making significant strides or significant steps it is taking to become a good player in electric vehicle market. And what are the steps it is taken by the government now? Freshly decreasing of import duty or removing of import duty on these products. Why? To enhance our domestic manufacturing. And even we want to promote clean energy technology in our country. So these two are the keywords. First one is promoting of clean technology. Write down somewhere. So first one is improving of domestic manufacturing. Second one is promotion of clean energy technology. And what is the step? That is exemption of import duties on 35 capital goods which are used for electric vehicles. And next one is 28 items for phone battery manufacturing. So who announced this? Our Union Finance Minister. Okay, now let us see the points that you have to remember. The first important point you have to see is, yes, because of this step which is taken by the Union Finance Ministry, we can understand that we are focusing directly on strengthening of our domestic manufacturing or domestic industries. Especially because of this step, now we can boost our local production of electric vehicles batteries. And for the manufacturing of this electric vehicles, battery is a very important component, right? So if you are making that, obviously we can boost our manufacturing of electric vehicles in our country, so that what happens, we can rely less on foreign countries. So whenever we are relying less on foreign countries, even we can say we can save our foreign currency reserves or foreign exchange reserves. So whenever we are maintaining good foreign exchange reserves, then there will be no depreciation of our Indian rupee, right? The value of rupee we can maintain properly, and we can also attract more investments in our country. So more investments leads to more economic growth and more development, right? So for all these things, yes, this step is very important. And next one here is, because of this uh, kind of less import duty, then what happened, we can also introduce some kind of new technology as well. For example, right somewhere we are going to use this super e platform. Okay, we are going to use a super e platform for this electric vehicles batteries in our country. So because of this, what happened, so we can also focusing on technology advancements in the promotion of this electric vehicles. And next one here is, if you're comparing India and China, so in which country they are using more electric vehicles, India or China? China. So if you see the statistics, in India, only 2% of vehicles are electric vehicles which are used by the people. But if you see in China, there are 45% of people, they are using this electric vehicles. That means in which country we have more market? In India, right? Yes, we are going to have the huge market in India, and because of this step, then what happened? There will be increasing of manufacturing of electric vehicles. So there is a very huge scope for this electric vehicles in India, and we can use this chance. If we are not using this chance and if you are not developing now in India, we have to depend on other countries. So now we have to use this chance. That is the thing which mainly said here. And next one here is not only economically it is important, but even from environment point of view also, this step is very important. As I said, we are going to decrease carbon dioxide emissions and we are going to achieve this Paris climate deal targets and as well as carbon neutrality. Especially we can decrease fossil fuel use like diesel and as well as petrol. So do we have that reserves in our country, crude oil resources? Very less. From which countries we are getting? From West Asian countries. So if we are moving towards electric vehicles, what happen? We can also decrease our imports of this crude oil, right? So even in that way also we can save lots and lots of reserves. And recently, if you connect with like article which came 5 days or 6 days ago, there was an article which says that yes, we decreased our physical deficit by decreased gold imports and as well as crude oil imports, right? So that means if you're decreasing further crude oil imports from other countries, means obviously we will be having less debt or less deficit, right? So from that point of view also this step is very important. And this article is giving one suggestion. Yes, not only decreasing of this import duties is important, but now government need to focus on proper innovation and as well as research and development. If you're not focusing on that, then we'll come back to the first stage. Okay, so government need to focus on proper research and development as par with other global countries, other developed countries. Okay, now let us see the next article. Yes, title says CBSE's two exam scheme over complicates things. So this article is talking about one scheme of CBSE. Normally, if you see in our education sector, so we have SSC, right? And we have CBSE and we have ICSE, International Standard. So these are the three types of curriculums in our education. SSC is nothing but state, okay, state syllabus. CBSE is central syllabus and ICSE is like international, right? So these are the three curriculums which we have in our education system now. So actually in the CBSE, they came up with one draft policy and they want to implement this. So normally in intermediate, in even the state board also in intermediate, after writing once your final exams, within 2 to 3 months you can apply for improvement examination, right? If you fail in your intermediate, you can write the second time examination, right? So is that there for this 10th class? Yeah, in state syllabus in some states we have, but now CBSE is going to implement that. Okay, so CBSE said that we are going to have two exam schemes now. That means normally in the month of February they will be having final exams, and now in February as usual the first time exam will be there and the second exam will be there in month of May. Okay, that is the new draft policy which came up by this CBSE and they are going to implement from this 2026 exams. That means next year final examinations onwards they are going to implement this. So because of this we are having some complexities. That is a thing which mainly said in this article. So what you have to see about this two exam scheme. Okay, it is about CBSE's two exam scheme, right? So what you have to see, about what is this two exam scheme is about and what are the features. Okay, so when students are writing two examinations, so which marks will be considered finally, first or second examination? So you have to see all those criteria. And next you have to see about what are the advantages of this and what are the challenges. So this article is focusing on these challenges. And where you will be studying this topic in your syllabus? In GS paper 2 we have governance. In your governance we have health education, right? So from there you can keep this article. Okay, now let us see this article clearly. So now here CBSE, that is Central Board of Secondary Education, has proposed a draft policy. And this draft policy, they want to conduct class 10th board examinations twice a year. Okay, and it is going to start from the next year, that is 2025 to 2026. That means the next year the students who are going to write, for them it will be going to be implemented. and the important aim it is to provide the students an opportunity to improve their performance, and it is according to our National Education Policy 2020. Okay, what are the key features? So normally the first phase of this board exam will be conducted in month of February. Normally from February 17th to March 6th, this examinations will be conducted. And the second phase is in the month of May from 5th to 20th. And this policy had been now in the public domain. And actually they are getting feedback from the schools, from the teachers, from parents, students and general public. Okay, so because of this now this topic is in discussion. So whenever we are keeping this in the public domain, normally we will be saying about challenges or the negative things rather than positives, right? So because of this now we are talking about this negatives here. So if you see the first important negative, yes, you are saying that yes, we will be implementing this twice board examination. It will be according to this NEP. So this is a statement which is given by this central board, right? So now actually this article is saying that if you are implementing this, it will be misalignment with this NEP goals. Why? Because if question designing pattern is not changing, if it is like the previous pattern, then what happens? So here already what are the traditional challenges that we have, we will be carrying that forward. How there is a chance of preparing more for the students and think something innovatively. So again the same thing will repeat even if you are conducting examination twice. And next one is there is also complexity in logistics now. So actually whenever we are conducting examination twice, then means what happens? So we need to have invigilators twice, we need to have the examiners who have to set the paper and who have to correct the paper twice, right? So here we have the logistic problems. So we had already lack of educators and we don't have proper uniform grading system. So actually what happens? So it will become extra burden now. And next one is insufficient remediation time. So if you see when this first phase of examination happens in month of February and second phase in month of May, how much time is there? March and April, only 2 months of time is there, right? So if the students who are not having the conceptual clarity, so within this 2 months, can they get? No. And even after once examination is done, do they get the support from their teachers, from the school? They won't, right? So if they're not having the support from the school and if they're not having the proper resources, they will go back to the same resources what they had and they will try to re-memorize them rather than understanding the concepts once again. So this is also one important problem. So what happens? The time which is given to bridge this learning gap will remain like that only. Again they'll go and they will buy had the same thing, same books, everything, rather than focusing on their concepts. And next one here is whenever they are paying fees for examination, now they have to pay together for first and second. Okay, so even if you are writing only first, if you have got the good marks and if you're not going for the second examination, what are the amount that you paid, will you get back? It is not at all refundable. So what happens? It will be causing financial burden on especially marginalized communities. And next one here is even there is impact on academic transitions. So do you know, so whenever you are studying this 10th class, if you want to get admission the so-called topmost IIT institutes, so if you go late, will you get the seat? No, not at all, right? So if you had failed for suppose in the first examination and if you are preparing for second, and in the second if you cleared, for example, second tier examination in the month of May, right? So normally when intermediate classes will start, in normally in the first week of June itself they will be getting started. So here whenever the exams will done by this May 20th, so will they give result as soon as possible? No, they will take certain time for correction, evaluation and keep in the public domain, right? It will be take some time. So by that time, what happens? It is difficult for both the intermediate board and as well as the students to select a right institute. Okay. So actually it will be affecting student transition to higher education. From 10th to inter transition will be getting affected. And even for intermediate, the time is less and they have to complete the portion and they have to give the coaching for IIT, MSET, so and so examinations will be there, right? So already they will be having the hectic schedule. So if they have to delay the classes, means what happens, it will be having impact on other students also who are coming from the state board examinations, right? So this is also one more important problem that we have. Okay, so what is the way forward which is given in this article? So they said two important points. So first one is, whenever we want to go for implementing of this kind of policies which will be having a huge impact on the society, we have to go for pilot programs. We should not implement in all the states. So we have to select some areas and we have to implement in that, and we have to test and try how it is going to work. Okay, so first one is pilot programs. It is a one important solution. Okay, and next one here is, in this pilot program we will be learning what are the practical challenges we have, and we'll get some time to adjust logistics, and as well as we can gather vital feedback from the students, from parents, from teachers. Ultimately what happens, we'll be getting effective solutions before implementing it properly. And next one here is stakeholder engagement. So whenever we want to take any changes in our already existing policy, so we have to include the stakeholders. That means we have teachers there, and we have students, we have parents, we have schools, we have intermediate colleges. We have to take them all into consideration, and we have to engage them, and with the proper debates and discussions with these stakeholders, we can come up with the proper reforms. And what are the challenges out there, we have to try to address those challenges before implementing that. So these are the two important way forward of recommendations which are given in this article, guys. Okay, now let us see the next article. Title says, non-performing assets of banks at multi-year low, profits up, says our finance minister. So what is the keyword? Keyword is NPAs, that is non-performing assets. And where you will be studying this? From GS paper 3 under economy, you will be studying this. So what you have to see, you have to see about what is this meaning of NPAs. And next you have to see what are the types. And you have to see what are the causes of this NPAs. And next you have to see what are the measures already taken by the government, different schemes, different laws government came up with, and you have to make a list of that. And next is your way forward. And even there are certain committee recommendations also, you have to see which are those committees and what recommendations they gave to reduce NPAs in our country. All these things that you have to see. And what is NPA? NPA is nothing but non-performing asset. For example, if I need money, I go to a bank and I'll get a loan. Okay, so if I'm not paying any interest or any principal amount for 90 days, so my loan will becomes NPA, that is non-performing. They're not getting any profit from my loan. That is called as non-performing asset. So non-performing asset, it is a loan or advance for which principal or interest payment remain overdue. So they are not paying, they just took the loan, but they're not paying anything like interest or any principal for last 40 days. Okay, then what happens? For banks, loan is an asset. Why loan is an asset? So I said what is the difference between the property and asset, right? So what is the asset? If they are getting any profit from that so and so thing, that is called as asset. If they're not getting any profit from that, it is called as just a property, right? So asset, loan is an asset because why? They will be getting 1 rupee per interest or 2 rupees interest on that. So interest they will be getting, right? So because of this, loan is an asset for the banks. So what happens when customers or any retailers or any corporates, if they're not able to pay the interest, what happens? Then asset becomes non-performing for the banks because it is not earning anything. They're not getting any profit on that loan. Okay, so therefore RBI has defined NPS as asset that stop generating income for the banks. Okay, so if you're talking about the classification of assets, we have substandard assets, we have doubtful assets, and we have loss assets. So when they are substandard, for example, I said NPS comes like if you are not paying anything for 90 days of period, that is called as non-performing assets. If you're not paying for 12 months or less than 12 months, it is called as substandard. If it is more than 12 months, it is called as doubtful asset. And loss means nothing but you are not, it is considered as uncollectible of such little value than continuous in a bank bankable asset, it is not warranted. So if you thought, if you have a think, if you are having a thought that if you're not regain that anything from that so and so loan, that is called as a loss asset. Okay, you have to see all these things, and you have to see the causes and what are the measures taken by the government, and especially different schemes you have to see. And now let us see the next article. Title says, scheme for pregnant women is severely underfunded. So I think you already wrote about the schemes of uh, Ministry of Women and Child Development. So in that Ministry of Women and Child Development, you have the list of schemes which are related to the pregnant and lactating women. So you have to see that. So here there are certain things which are given here. The first one is we have National Food Security Act. So you have to see about this. And next we have Pradhana Mantri Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana. And the second and next one here is we have Pradhana Mantri Matru Vandana Yojana. So these are the three important areas where government is focusing for providing certain security for this pregnant women. So you have to see that. Apart from this, if you have any state related schemes, focus on that. So you'll be getting lots of questions every year in your UPSC, at least minimum 3 questions from schemes. You have to be very much perfect regarding these schemes, guys. So please make a note of this. Already I gave this work for you, I think so, regarding the schemes of women and children development. Just revise those schemes. Okay, so next one here is Malhotra advises caution in battling money laundering. So here the keyword is money laundering. Money laundering means nothing but you are cleaning your black money. So you're converting your black money into white money, and this process is called as money laundering. Is it legal in India? No, it is illegal. So for this money laundering, which are the acts which are present in our country? We have Prevention of Money Laundering Act. So here you have to see what is this money laundering. I will be writing you the things what you have to see. What is this money laundering? And what are the reasons of this money laundering, and next you have to see what is the impact of this money laundering and what are the ways. For example, we have hawala transactions, we have shell companies. Okay, you have to see through which ways we can go for money laundering. And next one is you have to see what are the measures taken by our country. In these measures you have to see the schemes of government, and you have to see laws or acts, and finally you have to see way forward. And if there is any chance of collecting data, try to collect data of money laundering in India. Okay, so if you collect all these things and if you are making a proper notes of all these areas, then your work is done, guys. And this money laundering is very important for your means, okay, from GS paper 3. And these are the important topics that appeared in our today's Hindu newspaper. So by this I'm concluding. Thank you so much, guys, for watching, and please do like this class and share this class. And don't forget to join this GS Prelims cum Mains Foundation course either online or offline. And if you want to talk to me directly, you can visit our academy, which is in Ashok Nagar, exactly above Vikas Book Center, second and third floor, and it is opposite Sub Registrar Office. Thank you so much, guys.